the finest people swooped in to defend Matt Gaetz. One of the utmost saints, Nick Fuentes. Let's see what he has to say about all this. Certainly nothing that would be creepy or pedophilic in any kind of way, I hope.
Maybe we as a society need to rethink what constitutes moral sexuality. Because we live in a society where age of consent law is the gospel. Age of consent law, if you violate that, crucify the man. Female teachers are having sex with middle school boys all the time. Nobody cares about that. But
okay, back up. Took you 20 seconds. Wow, already so stupid. One, what do you mean that nobody cares about that? Yes, there's a double standard with our criminal justice system, and that needs to be addressed 100%. That comes up a lot when you talk about systemic racism, because there's also a lot of bias towards men in the criminal justice system as well. But what do you mean nobody cares? A hell of a lot of people care when female teachers are raping underage boys. Like, what are you talking about? Second of all, listen to this guy. Oh, my groypers, listen how society has fallen. The age of consent. Why is it so important? Why can't we just fuck children? Why can't we be true traditionalists?
But it's a large age gap between an older man and a younger girl. God forbid.
Well, hold on. Depends what that age gap is. I still think that, like, 18 is really, really young. If a guy's, like, older and there's a big age gap and the girl's over 21, then I'm, like, I don't care. I don't really care. Like, if she is comfortable with it and the guy's a lot older and there's an age gap, who cares? But that's not what we're talking about here, small dick Fuentes. We're talking about Matt Gaetz being accused of having sex with a 17-year-old girl. He's almost 40, having sex with a minor, a girl who's underage. That's a little spooky.
But homosexuality and trans and in between and this and that, no, but that's all perfectly okay.
Yes. Yup. You're right, Nick. Actually, base Nick Fuentes? This isn't even an April Fool's joke. Nick Fuentes is just being based over here. So you're saying pedophilia is bad, but existing as a trans person, that's okay?
I think society that we live in has to rethink a little bit what they believe is moral and immoral sexuality. Large age gap, 17.
Oh, really? Really, Nick? Man, it's crazy how much more mask off he can go when he just doesn't have to worry about, like, YouTube TOS.
But what you're supposed to do, I guess, is go to college, have lots and lots of sex, and experiment and do drugs and go on your careers, and then you're supposed to get married at, like, 32 or something, right? I guess that's a more...
Strange how he's just straw-manning the opposition entirely. So really, is this the dichotomy he's presenting? You have the choice between having illegal sex with minors or going to college and having a bunch of sex and doing drugs.
I don't know that that's really a world-shattering, terrible thing. I don't even know that it's necessarily immoral, other than that it was premarital. If Matt Gaetz had married her, I'd say, well, if he married her with her consent and the consent of the parents, this is completely moral. It's very traditional. And honestly, this is how it always...
Interesting. Very traditional. It's almost as if Nick just wants to hold on to tradition, whether it's good or not.
Yeah, I think you lose me a little bit on that one. So, you know, even if it were true, I would say, I don't know if that's a crime. I don't know if I'm ready to say, oh, run this guy out of town. It's more offensive to me that Matt Gaetz is in favor of weed legalization and gay adoption than it is that he was involved in a relationship with a large age gap.
Listen to this. It's so clear to me as soon as you realize that what Nick is about, and he's literally said this before, what he's about is order, hierarchy, and tradition. That's what he wants to conserve, okay? So he doesn't really care whether it's good or bad for society at the end of the day. He'll argue that it's better for society. Of course, that's going to be his argument, but he doesn't really care at the end of the day. This cling to tradition thing, it sounds like a little child desperately clinging on to, like, their teddy bear. The gay adoption thing, that's just hysterical because there are countless studies. There is literally, like, consensus that there is no harm to a child's well-being being raised by gay parents. None. Zero. What does the scholarly research say about the well-being of children with gay or lesbian parents? A 2010 study by Stanford researcher used census data to examine the school advancement of 3,500 children with same-sex parents, finding no significant differences between households headed by same-sex and opposite-sex parents when controlling for family background. It's actually interesting because the only time children of gay parents do fare worse is if the gay parents are facing discrimination for being gay. So the only time that gay parents would actually fare worse than straight parents is because of people like small dick Fuentes. It's weird because these people complain about problems that they then contribute to. It's really, really hypocritical. But again, this guy doesn't care about being consistent. He cares about preserving order and apparently fucking minors now.
It's more offensive to me that there are open homosexuals running for office and just in society, in front of everybody, in front of children. It's more...
The mask, dude, it just goes off. He doesn't have to hide shit anymore. No more TOS for him to worry about. I just get annoyed with gay people, you know, just like being there. I'm sorry that gay people in public offend you so much. You know what offends me? Neo-Nazi little fuckheads like you in public. I just think our cultural differences are too severe and we just don't share the same values. So I don't think that you should remain in the country. Would you mind just deporting yourself?
It's more offensive to me that you've got trannies and drag queens and all kinds of other freak things going on. I think feminism is more offensive than a large age gap. Large age gap is traditional, and 18...
Nice. Yep. Hey, it's traditional. It's got to be good then. Here's just a couple reasons why, if I must explain this, but apparently I must explain this to small dick Fuentes / small brain Fuentes. When you are a grown adult man, let's say in Matt Gaetz' position, okay? Again, we know these are allegations, but this is what he's trying to defend. So, Matt Gaetz, 38 years old, a guy who's in a position of power. He's able to fly people out and into hotels and whatnot. He's a sitting member of Congress. This guy allegedly having sex with a minor, a 17-year-old. Let's just think. Hold on. I'm thinking really deeply here. Could there be any issues with this at all? Perhaps a really, really imbalanced power dynamic. Perhaps the fact that you have an older man who's in a position of a lot of power with a lot of influence in a position where they are more or less able to, if they wanted to, completely manipulate that, again, underage teenage girl. This could lead to, manipulation, psychological abuse, and also, kids, teenagers at 17, the part of your brain, that decision-making portion, that's still developing, that's still processing. So this dumb idea that because it's traditional for there to be big age gaps, it's okay. It's like, what, you watch Pride and Prejudice and you're like, well, I guess this is the fucking way it's meant to be. I mean, there's so many variables and factors that go into this. But yeah, the big ones being manipulation. It could lead to psychological abuse. It could lead, it is a massive power dynamic. There's virtually no way you could even amend that power dynamic with that large of an age gap, and with the girl being underage, and with the guy being a sitting member of Congress. So maybe it's traditional, but okay, it's traditionally stupid then. At one point, it was tradition to put leeches on people so they would suck their blood to try to get the disease out of them. But things changed. Thankfully, the world is going to move on, and once you're dead and gone, your kind are going to continue to just fucking die out, and the world is going to happily move on without you.
18-year age of consent, that is very modern, and it is very much a feminist agenda. I'm just putting that out there.
You heard it. You heard it from Small Dick Fuentes. You ask most, 2016 anti-SJWs, hey, what's the extreme feminist agenda? Did you hear how they said, air conditioning was sexist? LOL, isn't that cringy? Haha. You ask Fuentes over here, and he's like, I just really dislike the fact that feminists have constructed this bizarre agenda. The age of consent. Damn it! Ugh.
I'm giving a little bit of historical context. I think that's honestly the real conservative position on this stuff. You're really not based if you disagree. Because I see some people saying, oh, he's a pedophile.
Well, you heard it, Groypers. You're apparently not based unless you commit statutory rape. It's weird because I'm pretty sure statutory rapists would be considered degenerates to these people. I don't know. I don't expect any of them to have, you know, any kind of consistent morals. Doesn't this guy call other people pedophiles, like, all the time?
You know, it's like everybody was asking me, what do you think about Dixie D'Amelio? And I look her up and I'm like, she's hot. Everyone's like, she's 15, she's 15. I'm like, oh no, I was kidding, never mind. Give me a break. Teacups is WTF. That's all a joke, though. That's all a joke.
I love how he says it's all a joke. Just keep that in mind every time you're like, hey, remember that time Fuentes said that Holocaust denial comment? And then all the Groypers are like, but he was just telling a little stand-up comedy bit, man. That was just a little gag.
Look, Dixie D'Amelio, hot. Okay, I'm just gonna say it.
I know this is the problem with you, Fuentes, is you don't know how to keep any of your thoughts in your mind. Hey, we should deport black people. Keep that one in there, buddy. Talking about 15-year-olds being hot? Keep that one in your fucking demented little pea brain.
And I'm red pilled because I work my way backwards. I'm like, well, I know that this is true. Let's work our way backward and let's see if we can justify, you know.
Literally admitting that he post-talk justifies. Well, thank you, Small Dick Fuentes, for the wonderfully hot takes that you apparently think grown men being with 16 and 17-year-olds is based and red-pilled because it's traditional. Kind of makes you think what other stuff this guy might consider traditional that he might want to defend.